Hi, I'm Joe Roth. At New Jersey Sharing Network, we're committed to saving and enhancing people's lives through organ and tissue donation and informing people about our life-saving mission. That's why we're proud to support programming produced by the CAUCUS Educational Corporation and their partners in public television.
Funding for this edition of CAUCUS New Jersey has been provided by the New Jersey Education Association, Wells Fargo, PSE&G, committed to improving New Jersey's economy and strengthening its communities, the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, NJM, auto insurance, homeowners insurance, and more, with a focus on safety and financial stability. New Jersey Sharing Network, dedicated to saving lives through organ and tissue donation. And by Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey. Promotional support provided by NJ.com, Small News, Big News, True Jersey. And by Commerce Magazine.
Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. This is part of our series we do in cooperation with the New Jersey Education Association. They do a series called Classroom Close-Up on the great public television station in New Jersey, NJTV, and we are proud to introduce as part of that series Jacqueline McAlister. Since 1999, she's been a teacher. Right now, she's teaching at Fernwood Middle School, right outside, about 10 miles outside of Atlantic City. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
You love being a teacher?
I do. I love it more than anything.
Well, you do something really interesting down there. You started something called the Invictus Club in August of 2014, which is?
It's a club that's aimed at mentoring girls that are in 8th grade, because I'm an 8th grade school teacher. And the idea is to reach out to the kids and create, emotional support that they need in addition to their, educational support.
And Invictus comes from the Ernest Henley poem, the William Ernest Henley poem, Invictus, meaning inconquerable.
That's true. That's
correct. And that poem
correct.
means a lot to you, doesn't it?
It does, because, every teacher goes through the same thing and asks themselves the same questions of, what exactly do I have to offer the kids? And some people are content experts and some people are experts at discipline. And I thought to myself, the thing that I can offer kids is the notion that we have grit and we are not able to be conquered and we will not be defeated. And no matter how life treats you, you can always keep going and find a way to succeed.
And these young women who are, how old?
13, 14.
And they need help.
They do.
And you were there for them. And the club is called the Invictus Club. And this is a powerful video from Classroom Close-Up. Take a look.
Your structure has to be 6 inches tall. It has to support the ping pong ball, okay? That's gonna be your goal, somehow. This is achievable, you can do this. The name of the club is the Invictus Club, and I used that title for the club because I love the poem. The poem is called Invictus, and that is a Latin word that means unconquerable.
It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I'm the master of my fate, I'm the captain of my soul.
You are in charge because you are the master of your own fate and you are the captain of your soul. So when something awful is going on in your life, you think, what do I have to rely on? I have me. I am Invictus. The words of the poem speak to some people, and I know it spoke to me because I have thought to myself many times, I am unconquerable. Just like the kids I work with, I am not able to be defeated. Today we're going to focus on something that's a little bit different. It's sort of like a compilation of all character qualities pushed into one. So I'm going to do an exercise with you, but I'm going to have 2 kids go to the board. You are going to slowly drive yourselves across the country. Start your car trip, stop, put an X.
Hit Orlando.
Everything Amy had with her got stolen.
Just keep driving.
You just keep driving. Yeah, you're right. Okay, keep on your way.
What happened?
Stop, your passenger ditched you. Your heart is broken. What do? You just keep driving. You found out that your dog died.
That's right,
You keep on driving. Now you have to start again. What do? Do you go? Yeah. Of course you go. What did you notice that every single kid said all along the journey? They kept going. They kept saying, I don't know, I'm just gonna keep going. I'm gonna teach you a word today that you might not know. It's a very important word, and I'm gonna teach it to you because you all have it. Not everybody has it, but you have it. How do you pronounce this?
Grit.
You have a lot of grit. You display that to me every day because part of your journeys are extraordinarily difficult.
Here I have like more opportunities, and for that I needed to speak English, and
We have to find ways to reach every kid, not some of the kids. We have to reach every single kid because they can all learn and they can all be productive. So I think to myself, what can we as educators do to reach every kid? I don't really know, but I'm not willing to not try to figure it out. It doesn't take anything other than a group of kids, and they will lead the way.
Those are beautiful kids. I love them.
Why?
They represent every student I've ever taught, the ones who meet with success, the ones who don't. And the thing that we can all learn from them is that even the kids with the most difficult lives have a lot to offer this world. Sometimes it takes more to uncover it, and I believe with all of my being that every single child is worth working with and paying attention to, no matter how they fight back, no matter if they say they don't want to. Every kid has potential, and I think this is just one small example of the things that go on in our public schools. And I work with so many people that make every human possible effort to get to the kids, and this is just one more way to get to them and help them.
You saw that video from Classroom Close-Up for the first time.
That's right. That is the first time I've seen it, and it's beautiful. And it encourages me because I want everyone to see the strength that these kids have.
What are they facing? Describe.
Broken homes, foster care, evictions from homes. A lot of the kids tell stories about coming to our country as recently as a year ago, 2 years ago, not speaking English, learning to speak English, struggling. Their stories are heart-wrenching and hard to tell. We are fortunate. I mean, I grew up in a fortunate home full of love, and I have children of my own, and I see how hard it is to get them ready for school every day. And I watch these kids come off the bus, and I think to myself, how do they even keep showing up? They don't have the things that my children might have or the things I had. But I believe very strongly in equity for all of our children, not just equality. And I believe that school is not only about learning things from the books. I think it's about learning things from each other. They teach me more than I could ever teach them. We have to always remember the human side of teaching. And you know, I understand that data and metrics are important, and I read them just like everybody else does, but I think that it's very important that we remember that they're children, and they need love, and they need to know that we care about them. And I don't ever want that to get lost in my teaching.
Were you meant to teach?
I tried a lot of different careers, and this is the one that matters. This is the only one that matters. And you know, I worked in the corporate world for a while, and I'm pretty sure they never knew that I was there. My first day of teaching in Trenton, I did not know what I was doing. I had no idea, and I struggled through my first day. And at the end of that day, I had probably about 5 little kids gathered around me, begging me to come back tomorrow. And I thought at that exact moment, this is what matters. It mattered. And I think that what all teachers are doing matters. Classroom to classroom, teacher to teacher, the emotional bridges that we build between ourselves and the children, if we treat them like they're our own, they will succeed.
Teachers are clearly leaders. What's the greatest lesson you learned about leadership?
That it's not dependent on one single person, that leadership can be displayed in many, many different ways. And I think that when we give children the chance to lead, and when we give children the chance to speak, then they will become leaders in the future. And I think that that's important because, you know, the only success in life is not what you got on your science test or, you know, what essay you wrote. Success in life is about grit and determination and finding a way. So I think it's important to teach that to children so that they understand that there is no failure. They all can succeed.
Thank you for doing what you do, and you're a great leader, a great teacher, and obviously a terrific person. Keep doing what you're doing.
That.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very nice to meet you.
Same here.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
To see more Caucus New Jersey with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at steveadubato.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato PhD, and follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
We are joined by Dr. Grant Simons, Chief of Cardiac Electrophysiology at Englewood Hospital and Medical Center. Good to see you, Doctor.
Thanks for having me.
Let's talk about this. Your field of expertise, how would you describe it in layperson's terms?
Cardiac electrophysiology is a division of cardiology that specializes in the diagnosis and treatment of heart rhythm disorders, which are electrical disorders. So a cardiac electrophysiologist is like an electrician for the heart.
An electrician? Do you actually say that to people?
I do. I say that to patients, and patients can relate to that. The general cardiologists often are referred to as plumbers, and then we are the electricians.
So what is atrial fibrillation?
Atrial fibrillation is a rhythm disorder of the heart. It's an electrical problem.
What do you mean electrical? Seriously. It's not electrical, or is it electrical?
It is. The heart has an electrical system. Your heart's rhythm is generated by an electrical system. If you're sitting still, relaxed, you might have a heart rate of 60. If you get excited or start to run or are in pain, your heart rate will go up to 100 or even higher. And that's all generated from an electrical system. There's a set of cells that are pacemaker cells that give it a rhythm, and then there's a set of specialized wires in there that distribute the electricity around the heart. And that system can have problems and go wrong. And atrial fibrillation is actually the most common heart rhythm disturbance that we see.
Okay, so the way this issue, this problem is being treated, or is treated, is very different today than it was 10, 15, 20, how many years ago?
I'd say the last 10 to 15 years have seen the most dramatic change in how we treat atrial fibrillation.
Biggest difference, go.
Yes. We've gone from an era where the only therapies we had available were medications to a large variety of technological advances that allowed us to use non-medication treatments, such as using catheters and other devices to treat atrial fibrillation and to prevent the complications of atrial fibrillation.
So what, a pacemaker, how does it fit into this?
A pacemaker is a device for a slow heart.
That's not this?
No.
So then I'm confused then. What's this thing called the Watchman?
The Watchman device is a recently approved device which is like an umbrella. It goes into a part of the heart where clots form. To back up for a minute, the biggest problem with atrial fibrillation is that it is a cause of stroke. There's this pouch in the left upper chamber of the heart. It's called the left atrial appendage. And when people go into atrial fibrillation, their upper chambers don't squeeze very efficiently. And if you can imagine, instead of going like this, the upper chambers are just quivering.
Right.
And that pouch, the left atrial appendage, develops stagnant blood. And we hate stagnant blood. Just like if water in a pond is stagnant, things will grow. In stagnant blood, we'll see blood clots. And the worst place to have a blood clot is in your heart, in the left upper chamber.
Because?
It can chip off and go to your brain. And that's a stroke.
And that causes a stroke?
That is a stroke, absolutely.
That is a stroke?
Yes. And atrial fibrillation is the most common cause of, the most common identifiable cause of stroke in the developed world.
So go back to the Watchman.
Yes.
What
so
is
the
this
Watchman,
thing called the Watchman?
It's an umbrella, a cover that we can place at the opening to the appendage so that when people go into atrial fibrillation, there's no blood flow into and out of that pouch I told you about, the appendage. So we don't have to worry about blood going into the appendage, becoming stagnant and forming a clot, and then coming back out, because we're basically walling off the opening of the appendage with this device.
This device called the Watchman?
Yes.
My understanding is it was recently approved by the FDA?
In March.
In March?
Yes.
Of 2015?
Yes.
But it's used in Europe?
It's been approved in Europe for quite some time, and many thousands of patients have undergone the procedure there. The FDA was a little slower to approve it for American patients.
Why?
Well, there were several reasons. The FDA is, I think, by its own nature, more cautious than the European regulatory establishment. They required an extra study to be conducted, and studies take years, of course, to recruit and conduct and follow the results.
How do you feel about it, Watchman?
Oh, I think it's really going to revolutionize the way we treat patients with atrial fibrillation.
Revolutionize?
Yes. And the reason is that until now, the way we have treated patients to lower their risk of stroke is to give them blood thinners.
What's wrong with that?
Well, the problem with blood thinners is we give a patient a blood thinner, we're giving it to treat one little area of the heart and prevent a clot.
What happens if you fall down and you start bleeding?
Exactly. Their whole body gets their blood thinned. So if they fall down...
Hold on one second. I'm not going to name a product because that's not what we do.
Yes.
But you take a particular blood thinner because that's what you want to make sure you don't clot.
Right.
All of a sudden you fall, you get a bleed. You can't stop that because the blood thinner wasn't just for the one area, it's for the whole body.
Right, and that's the problem. All these years we've been giving blood thinners, and you're exactly right. We thin the blood in the whole body to treat one little area, and those patients are at risk of bleeding, and in fact, they can be at risk of fatal bleeding, life-threatening bleeding, and of course, the bleeding that we fear the most is bleeding within the head. And when people, particularly the elderly who are susceptible to falling, they can fall down, hit their head, and a bleed in the head is a terrible thing that leads to a lot of disability. So going back to your question, the reason I think that the Watchman is really going to change things is that going forward, we're going to see patients have this device put in and go off their blood thinners. And that's the beauty of it. We now have a treatment that's been shown to be, in the studies, as effective as a blood thinner, but we don't have the risk of bleeding associated with lifetime use of those blood thinners.
Before I let you out of here, how many patients, do we know how many patients are using the Watchman right now?
In this country, in the studies, it was somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000.
That's it?
That's all. And now it's been commercially approved, and we're seeing them going around the country. I would estimate now it's several thousand in the country, much less than the experience in Europe.
But you think it's going to revolutionize the entire field?
I really do. I think that looking down the road 5 to 10 years from now, I think that patients who are at risk of stroke, who have atrial fibrillation, will not necessarily be taking blood thinners, and therefore they won't be exposed to the risks of bleeding that we see with those medications. Important
information about a problem that affects too many Americans. I appreciate it. We all appreciate it, Doctor. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
Okay. Stay with us. We'll be right back right after this.
To see more CAUCUS New Jersey with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at steveadubato.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato PhD, and follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
Francine Andrea is Vice President of Administration, Enrollment and Planning at Felician College. How you doing?
Fine, good to be here.
Felician College is in Bergen County, New Jersey.
Absolutely.
Describe the school a little bit.
It's a small, private Catholic college that admits all students and provides personalized one-on-one teaching and support services so our students can succeed.
Let's talk about the fact that the reason we have you here is because the whole question of ROI, return on investment. There's some people who question whether in this day and age it's really worth it, given what it costs to go to college, to spend that money to incur some of those bills and ultimately have that debt for many. You say?
Education is the primary opportunity for everyone. So when you look at cost, you have to understand what the components of that are. For a student who has a high school diploma versus a student who receives a baccalaureate degree, the difference in income in your lifetime is over $1 million.
Well, back up. You go to college, you don't go to college. $1 million difference?
$1 million difference. The issue is what your opportunities are, not just the day you leave and start your first job, but the other opportunities you have in the rest of your life. So you have to look at factors that will help you understand why it is so important and that investment is so important.
Do you wind up having these conversations with students and parents?
Absolutely. With parents and students, we talk about the importance of looking at all those factors. So for example, at Felician, we look at students from a merit aid perspective to help support them when they go to school. And actually, Money Magazine picked us out as one of the top 25 merit aid institutions in the country.
What does that mean, merit aid?
Scholarship money that we provide to students. So it's an affordability issue, because that is always a concern of families. But most importantly is actually the academic education you're going to receive. So a family really has to evaluate programs, the student's interest, and the job opportunities that the institutions they're looking at can provide them in the future.
When or how early, what's the appropriate time for a family really should we start thinking about college?
I always recommend that they start thinking about it when they're high school sophomores.
Sophomores.
Most students
Why put the pressure on the kid?
It's not really pressure at that time. It's doing the simple parts of just getting comfortable with the concept of college.
What does that mean?
It means thinking about what classes do you enjoy in high school? Do you like being in a big class? Do you like being in a small class? Do you like learning in a larger environment, but what is the weather where you are thinking about your future? Are you going to like the cold? Are you going to like the hot? It is important because a student's education is the academic and the social realities of that education.
And the economics, we've had this discussion with others because we've done a lot of programs on affordability. It's one thing to talk about merit scholarships, but it's another thing because you can't plan on that, okay? You can hope for it, you can work hard, but you can't guarantee it. So the economics of it, what is it that you say to parents about how to plan for the economics of higher education?
Well, there are many ways a parent can start the process. That's why I recommend the sophomore year, but most do it the junior year. Look at what kind of grants, scholarships, federal and state institutional money may be available to you as you plan for financing an education.
Well, that's at that point, but you should be thinking about it and saving for it well before that.
Absolutely, there are college savings plans. New Jersey has a college savings plan, 529 plan, where you can start saving. Students can actually start thinking about, if I'm working part-time, can I put $10 a week aside to help support the financial situation I know my family will be in? You know, at Felician, we work with a lot of families one-on-one to be able to explain to them what a 4-year expenditure is so that they can understand what process they need to go through. There are monthly payment plans. There are student loans. And though people frown on the idea of taking out a student loan, there are benefits to borrowing. It helps fill a gap after a student would get state, federal, and institutional aid. I mean, at Felician, the average scholarship is $15,000 per student. When you think about that and you look at a student who has need for other sources of funds, you take federal aid, state aid, and then as a last resort, after you give the student college work-study funds to work in between classes on campus, you would offer them a student loan.
After all that?
After all that.
Go to the actual curriculum and the course taking. What about the whole question of a student who is trying to figure out his or her major? And they change their major. I know a lot of kids who change their major. You have a problem with that?
Not at all. Actually, about 65% of the national population changes their major at least once while in college. Oh, yes.
Not a problem?
Not a problem. We look at those students at Felician as explorers. Not undecided, as you've historically heard, but explorers. With a liberal arts foundation, these students can take various courses in all areas of study to be able to determine for themselves and with faculty support what direction they want to go in obtaining their degree.
You've also talked, you told our producers that it's important to develop a quote-unquote well-rounded student. What does that mean? What's wrong with just, I'm a great student, great grades, leave me alone, not good enough?
Well, the breadth of what a company or corporation or organization, nonprofit, is looking for are students who have a well-rounded background. So those are students who know what it's like to commit to your community, to provide service, to be able to do critical thinking, but be empathetic in the process. So at Felician, we look for students to leave us with competence, character, and compassion. So when they have to make very tough decisions in the boardroom, or in an operation, or at a nonprofit, they have the skill set to do it, and to do it properly.
So it's important they get involved in those kinds of activities?
Absolutely. We have students, for example, who volunteer at the Boys and Girls Club in Lodi, New Jersey. Those students volunteer to workshops with younger students, so they have role models as they look at where the future is going. Our students give back directly to the community, and service is part of our curriculum.
Fran Andrea is Vice President of Administration, Enrollment, and Planning at Felician College. I've talked to your president, Ann Prisco, many times about the mission and the work of Felician. Keep doing what you're doing.
The preceding program has been a production of the CAUCUS Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence, and 13 for WNET, NJTV, and WHYY. Funding for this edition of CAUCUS New Jersey has been provided by the New Jersey Education Association, Wells Fargo, PSE&G, the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, NJM, New Jersey Sharing Network, and by Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. CAUCUS New Jersey has been produced in partnership with TriStar Studios.
Driving safety is not a joke. It's not a punchline. It's more than just an ad campaign. It's a frame of mind. And it's an everyday commitment. By taking a few simple steps, many car accidents can be avoided. Become an advocate for driving safety today. This message has been brought to you as a public service by NJM Insurance Group.